Make sure it all works.
Yeah, we're going live. We're live. In theory, we're live.
Mine still has a countdown.
It might not actually go live until 3.
Well, that's a good point. You're not going to change it to 251. Now I see us.
Yeah, you good? Yeah, we're live, Bob.
It works.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit delayed.
Yeah, it's pretty delayed. Chris said that audio sounds good. Spencer Durbin can see us. Keith Frank can see us.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Golden.
Yeah, this is always a little bit of a challenge. Actually, I shouldn't say always. This has been a challenge twice. Doing a true live stream through a camera,
Yeah.
like this is talking to that, to talking to this again, it's talking to the internet. Bob, how was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was great. It's always funny looking like it just a couple seconds behind in time.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you really care about what you looked like 15 seconds ago,
I'm going to
you
try
just
not to look.
watch your phone. I'm going to wait until 3 to start. Well, I guess we've just got like kind of one announcement. We did mention it on social media this morning, but I'm going to wait until 3 because we did say that that it would start at 3. So I'll wait until then. But Bob, in the meantime, we can probably start some of these questions.
Sure.
I know a couple of people left questions right off the bat. Pat already has a Divus and a Ripstick 88. He's asking a Mirus Core versus M-Cross 88 questions, similarities, differences, general thoughts. Bob.
Pat must have been keying into our mid-80s comparison where we said that the M-Cross is like a directional version of the Mirus Core.
Yeah, I feel like that's been said a couple times now.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to think about it. Like if you're more of that skier that just sticks to trails, kind of more rhythmic turns, you're, maybe not looking for something that falls on the playful side of the spectrum, that M-Cross is more beneficial. But then if you're looking for something a little bit different, outside the box, that's where Mirus Core really steps in. And then just like, we've talked about this before, like the Mirus Core feels like you're skiing it right in the middle, whereas M-Cross feels like you're a little bit more shovel heavy.
Yeah. I mean, similarities is definitely like the reaction,
right?
Like the experience that they give you, that short turn radius and just the quickness that they come across the fall line. That's where the similarities is coming from. I think, yeah, I mean, of course the difference has to be like one's a directional ski and one's
right.
a twin tip, and that's the biggest difference. Obviously there are differences between them too, but I can't help but get a little bit hung up on the similarities between M-Cross and Ripstick.
Sure.
Like, sure there are differences, but there are similarities between those skis too.
Yeah.
I would say they're user-friendly, easy to ski, directional skis that are 88 underfoot. So it would be hard for me not to go Mirus Core just as a better complement to what you already own there.
Yeah, and like I think that there's also a nice difference in the tail, and I noticed this more like in the woods and bumps where the tail of the Mirus Core, because it's a lot more dramatic in its flair.
Yes.
That it does like to stay a little bit more engaged, when you're combining that short radius with that flared out tail. Like the M-Cross does it with the dramatic shovel rocker or shovel shape versus Mirus Core, which does it with a more dramatic tail shape. So
yeah.
It's just a little different, but you're right. M-Cross and Ripstick, I think, is a lot more of a kind of a true matchup.
Yeah. Hopefully that helps, Pat. Tucker asks us to pick one. QST 98 or Dina Star M Free 99. I assume he means for ourselves.
Right. For me,
otherwise, that's an impossible question to answer because they're both really good and have their own unique benefits. Do you want to go first?
yeah, and I think that I've been pretty clear on this, is that the M Free is a tough one for me because it tops out at 185, and it also measures
A lot of rockers.
short.
Yep.
So it measures about a 182, whereas that QST 98 in the 189, which again skis a little bit short because of the shorter radius, that ski in that length is money for me.
Yeah.
Whereas like the 183 in the QST 98 is feels a little too turny. But I love the bigger length in that ski. So I'm QST 98 in the 189.
That's perfect, and I knew that was going to be your answer, so I set myself up for success.
You get the other one?
I suppose I would choose M3 99.
Yeah.
Which is it's unfair for me to say that, unfair to the QST 98, because objectively I think that is just such a good ski, and there are huge benefits to that ski for so many people. A relatively new guy on our staff just got a QST 98, and he was like, "What do you think of this choice?" And I was like, "You absolutely nailed it."
Yep.
But M3 99 just happens to match the way that I ski a little bit better, slightly more freestyle influence in its design. The QST skis switch well for what it is, but it doesn't ski switch nearly as well as a dedicated twin tip like an M3. So.
And M3 is one of those ones that I wish they made longer, because I really like it. I like that Dina Star. I like that hybrid core. I like the shape of that M3, great in the trees, but I just wish it came longer. That's my biggest complaint there.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Moving along here, Bob. Blaze 94 versus Ripstick 96. This is a question from Dave. For a touring / soft snow resort ski, Ripstick more for groomers, Blaze more off-trail oriented. Yeah, I would say you're on the right track there for sure. I mean, that's if I were to pinpoint the standout features of each one of those skis. For Blaze, the standout to me is just the quickness in the trees and how good and loose it can be in softer snow. And then Ripstick has to be a little bit of just the roundness of the turns that they can make on a groomer. So for me, if it's a touring soft snow specific thing here, I think I would go Blaze. But then as soon as you bring in groomer performance, then that's where I would start to lean the other direction back towards Ripstick.
I agree with that assessment for sure. And the Blaze and all of these other vocal skis that are just they're a little flatter, that Ripstick has
exactly
a good amount of camber underfoot. So when you're thinking about touring and you're thinking about the fact that you're going to be in softer or fresher snow, I think that also pushes a little to the Blaze. But again, like you said, when you get on the groomers, that's really what that Ripstick is. That's the strength there. That thing just comes right around. Really likes being on a higher edge angle. So if you get it in firmer snow, it's going to react appropriately. Yeah,
I feel with Blaze, the conversations around Blaze are usually something this ski's pretty darn good on groomers, considering how good it is in the trees, in soft snow, etc. I never start with groomers as a recommended application for Blaze.
No, but I am continually surprised at how well that thing grips for how light it is,
Blaze.
Especially the 94.
Yeah. No, and that's what I mean. It's capable.
Yeah.
Anyways, Dave, hope that answers your question. We've got another comment here from SB. This is going to be a fun one. Mindbender 99 Ti or Nordica Unleashed 98? So this is a fun question to me because I feel on paper you could be slightly misled simply by the fact that Unleashed is a twin tip.
Yeah.
And Mindbender is not, but it's interesting because with the changes to Mindbender, they added more tail rocker to that ski. So, well, again, one is a twin tip and one's directional, so you got to start there, I suppose. But I think it might be surprising to some people to hear me say that I think Mindbender is actually a little looser, like easier to release the tail edge and make a skidded turn than Unleashed. There's just so much camber and there's no taper in Unleashed skis, so they feel pretty darn grippy.
I mean, you could basically replace Mindbender with Enforcer 100.
Yeah, and that's like the same conversation.
It's the same conversation.
Yeah, which is counterintuitive, I think.
Yeah, and we've talked about that where, like, Unleashed, you know, is more shaped like this with pushing down on the tips and tails, and then Mindbender and Enforcer are a little bit more rockered overall.
Yeah.
Again, leading to that driftiness. Less metal in that Mindbender than Enforcer, so you are going to be able to get a little bit more energy out of it, I would say. But yeah, like harder charging, cutting through crud, you know, busting through mank and chop. I'd rather be on the K2.
Yeah, I think it's strong, like its build is stronger, but its shape is like slightly looser.
I know, Nordica is weird with that Unleashed. Like, it's hard to describe why it's so much fun to ski without, like, saying something bad about another ski. You know?
Or bad about the Unleashed.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of time I'm describing the Unleashed, I'm like, this thing is so fun, it rips, but it's, you know, like I skied it, I skied it opening day.
Yeah.
And the next day I skied a Playmaker 101. Because on opening day I was like, I'm not really ready for Unleashed 98 skiing yet. Because it's more of a, I don't know, slightly more demanding shape. So hopefully that sheds some light on the differences there. And Bob, it's 3:01.
All right.
So officially welcome to our third live Black Friday, top 5 Fridays, whatever this video is. Welcome back. They're fun to do. Last year we were here for 2 hours. I know you got to get to like a hockey game.
I got to go to hockey at some point this afternoon. But
I think our hard limit will have to be at like 2 hours at most again, but I don't have really anything else to do, I suppose. What I want to wait until 3 to mention is something that we've never done in these videos before, is at the, we'll say towards the end of this video, and why don't we call it 4:30. At 4:30, we're going to randomly select an order from all of the orders today, and they're going to get 100% refunded.
I mean, does it get better than that?
They still get their stuff.
Right.
It'd be funny if we just canceled.
Sorry,
yeah,
you're
refunded.
canceled.
No, we canceled your order. So yeah, pretty exciting. I was talking to our owner before, and I was like, what's the cutoff? Like, what if the order I land on is like 5 pairs of mantras?
Right. I mean, we sell bikes.
Oh my God, that's a great point. Someone should go buy a bike. So anyways, that gives you, if you were like on the fence about making a purchase, gives you something to think about over the next hour and a half. And there's a lot of good deals on the site right now.
Totally.
And like, alternatively, if we go through and we like pick an order and it was like a pair of socks, we'll keep going. That would be like a bit of a cop out on our end if we were just like, oh cool, yeah, this guy spent $7, right? Well, congratulations.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. All right, so moving on here. We've got a question here from Keith. Would the Vocal Mantra 102 be a good all-mountain / occasional powder ski? Do you want to start, Bob?
Yeah, the more you're moving to powder, the less benefit you're getting from that ski.
Yep.
So, yeah, you're starting with groomers and frontside, and for a 102, it's super impressive. Incredibly stable, like you're combining that regular mantra build with the wider footprint. So really you're just adding mass and power to an M6, which is like a very interesting concept, you know? Yep. But the interesting thing between like Kendo, M6, Mantra 102 is that they don't change a whole lot in terms of the rocker profile and taper shape. So kind of the footprint of the 102 is similar to the M6 and similar to the Kendo. So it's not like you're getting a better powder ski, like a more playful powder ski. It's still very much like more all mountain shaped. So yeah, the more you get towards powder, and you did say occasional, so
Yep.
I have seen, like, I have friends that ski Mantra 102,
Yeah.
and I've seen them in deep snow, and they do just fine.
Yeah. Or
So-
like Gordy when I was out in Sun Valley.
Yep.
You know, that was pretty much a full-on powder day, and he was skiing that ski, and he did just fine. But he's got like a NORAM ski racing background, and so that would be the one thing that I would really emphasize there is that that certainly can work. It just totally depends on what type of skier you are.
Yeah, and how hard you want to push it. You know, it's
Yep.
one of those things that there are certainly more playful 102s out there, you know, but there aren't many that carve as well. So
Yep.
if you're leaning more to that front side all mountain aspect of it, then I think that's a great option.
Serpo comparison. This is a question from Anthony. Serpo comparison to Mindbender 89 in Mogul's trees, large open bowls.
Okay.
Pretty close. I mean, those
Yeah.
skis aren't like tremendously far off from each other. There's a difference in width there. The application of metal is more similar than it is different, in my opinion. Obviously, the Serpo is H-shaped and the Mindbender is Y-shaped, so
Yeah.
they're not the
It's a
same
different
letter
letter,
of the
yeah.
alphabet, but like from the amount of metal and overall torsional stiffness and stuff like that, so they're pretty similar. I actually find the Serpo to be a touch more, I guess precise is the best word. It feels like it's got like a little bit more bite or a little bit more like cleanliness to how it finishes a turn. And I suppose you could say the opposite in Moguls, but I don't know if it's as big of a difference there.
I think for most people, and I'll include myself in this, that precision and reactivity that you're talking about in the Serpo, although welcome on groomers, does not quite have the same value in moguls and trees and large open bowls. In those scenarios, I think the more kind of supple, easier flex, especially of the non-metallic parts of the K2,
Yep.
lines up better with softer snow, bumps, trees. Like, I would rather ski the K2 in moguls. Like, not
Yeah.
just because it's a little bit narrower, but because it is just slightly quieter and
No, I
more
agree.
composed.
It's like I keep thinking about the shape of the tail.
Yeah,
Like the tail's a little rounded on
Yeah.
the Mindbender, which I think helps a lot.
yeah, but there's nothing like that Serpo in terms of getting the energy out of the tail. I mean, it's about as
Yeah,
satisfying of a rebound as you're going to get. But,
totally.
that application was not brought up, so I would say that the K2 is more amenable to moguls, trees, and large open bowls, even though it's a little bit narrower.
I mean, it's like an interesting question.
Yep.
Because I suppose, like, trees and large open bowls, I personally would want to go to Mindbender 99 or Justice.
Right.
And between those skis, I feel like the similarities are actually smaller. Or no, sorry.
Bigger, better.
But
There's more similarities.
Justice and Mindbender, Justice and Mindbender 99 feel like closer skis to me than Serpo and Mindbender 89.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. If it was those three specific applications, I think I would go Mindbender.
Yeah.
You ready to move on?
Sure.
Because this next question is just fantastic. Any chance to test Elan Voyager? You betcha. Do you even remember what that is?
Is that the folding
It is
ski?
the folding
All
ski.
right.
Yeah, so Elan has a folding ski. They don't sell it a lot in the North American market. I think they sell a considerable amount in Europe.
It's very, very interesting concept.
But yeah, the whole ski, like the binding is on a plate and the plate can rotate. And then when you rotate the plate, it allows you to fold, I'll probably get this wrong, the tail of the ski up. And then like you rotate the binding back down to lock the tail into place. Yes, we have tested it many times. I feel like we've come close to like doing actual content on it. It's just such a silly thing, but it actually works.
I just remember,
that's always
like,
the mind-blowing thing.
I know Brad and Ryan skied it.
Yeah,
and
Ryan
because
skied it a bunch.
the plate's so high, you have like a ton of leverage.
Yeah, it's like
and
a
it's
race
actually
plate.
like a really interesting carving ski.
Yeah. And like that plate that locks the binding is so stiff that it like actually acts like a strengthening agent.
And like, but you don't put touring bindings on them because it's heavy.
No, you can't. Yeah, I mean, you could put an alpine tracker on it if you really want to.
Yeah.
It's Are you questioning the name Voyager?
No, because I can't imagine that had anything to do with the English language during inception.
No, I think the term Voyager is more in reference to somebody who like goes on trains.
Oh.
Because I think that's like the idea of that folding ski is like you can hop on the train with a short ski bag and a boot bag and like get to the mountain really easily.
Very interesting.
Super interesting. Moving on again, Keith, love my old Nordic Navigator 85 Ti. Ah,
you're not alone.
What a great ski. Some serious nostalgia there. It's nearing the end of its lifespan and curious what currently available skis would be the best next step. Steadfast 85?
I mean, that's Nordica's logical next step. You know, that's the replacement. It is different. Steadfast has a lot more of a front side feel to it. It doesn't have that same, like, you know, Navigator was born.
Shovel's so much different.
Yeah, Navigator was born out of the blend of an Enforcer shovel and a Doberman tail, whereas Steadfast is just something totally different. A lot more like turn initiation out of the Steadfast. Very round, clean turns. I love it on trail. I don't think it's got quite the same off-piste capabilities, especially if your Navigator 85 was like a flat ski drill mount.
That's
so that makes a difference.
That's the big difference there. Stance 84.
Stance 84
to me would be a great one. Kanjo 84 is always a pretty darn good one. You know, it's similar concepts. There's a little bit of metal, but not like an overwhelming amount of metal, and then they both have pretty versatile shapes. So I suppose for a true replacement to Navigator, I think I'd rather go Stance. Kanjo,
Dynastar, the Empro 85, like those are...
Ranger 84 is also an interesting one that's often overlooked.
Yeah, there's not a ton with like the Navigator metal, like that was a very interesting concept.
Hex titanium bridge.
Hex titanium bridge, thank you. You know, it's like I can't think of an exact replica of that anymore. They just they don't really do it.
No, I kind of think Stance 84 would be the closest. This was a follow-up from Dave. He was asking about Blaze and Ripstick, saying he would probably run a shift type binding. That doesn't change my opinion. I still would lean towards Blaze.
Yeah.
Bob, this is an interesting one. I'm fascinated with the Solomon Blank versus Echo, which is an interesting place to start. Which is better for carving on groomers, but primarily for deep powder? So I would want to start by pointing out that those are different widths.
Yep.
The QST 106 and the Echo share the same footprint. So where I would start is that the Blank 100% is going to be better for deep powder. I think that's one of the just best, most well-rounded powder skis on the market. And a lot of different people can ski it. I know there's some people that don't like the shorter turn radius that they put in that ski, but I, for one, appreciate that because I think it makes it easier for somebody who's not used to giant powder skis.
Right.
And then, like, I've skied a lot of giant powder skis in my life, and it doesn't bother me by any means. So for deep powder, I would give it to the Blank. The carving on groomers is a tricky one because neither is particularly good. Although I will say that I've always been impressed by the Blank's ability to handle groomed snow conditions.
Yeah, and we met Josh Dyack in here a few weeks ago, and if you watch some of his videos skiing on the Blank, he doesn't adhere to that short turn radius.
No, exactly. That's why I feel like people shouldn't worry
yeah.
about that at all.
And you know that like I like it when things like that kind of pop up in our lives that you know we're so used to saying, oh, the blank has a short turn radius, so it's really good at making shorter turns, and then you see, you know, obviously an upper level athlete, but someone who's totally going the opposite way and saying, nope, I'm gonna point this down the hill and see how fast it can go. And so that's really impressive. Most of my time on the Echo was this past spring, just here at the resort, and I found it to be smooth and capable, but not really as powerful. It does have a slightly different build as blank, so lighter wood, not the same CFX material. So there is a construction difference.
More prone to deflection.
Yeah.
Less vibration damping.
So like I'd almost say that the blank is better for both groomers and powder.
I'm glad that you agree, because I was going to say that too, but it just felt weird.
That you just saying a 112 carves better than a 106. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah. What is the best all-mountain ski, or best all-mountain ski for a 6 foot tall, 215 pound Type 2 skier in Maine/Vermont?
That's a loaded question right there. I like it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like, I don't know. I always feel like a broken record when I say this, but I'll start by saying that like best is a tricky term for skis, and we tend to not use that because skiing performance can be so subjective. It does really help in this scenario to know that you kind of identify as a Type 2 skier, because to me that means that you're not like just charging at super high speeds. So then I would actually go back to those skis that we were talking about as a replacement to the Navigator 85. Stance 84 feels like a good one.
Yeah.
Any of those skis with like a little bit of metal in them, because at your weight it's going to be nice to have some support that metal provides. And then beyond that, it's tricky because it's more of a like, the next question that I would ask would be like, what is your style of skiing? Do you prefer carved turns? Do you prefer short turns? Do you go off trail a lot? Do you always stay on trail? Because for that skier, if you were always staying on trail, then I would kind of go back towards something like a Steadfast 85. Yeah. And if you were going all off trail, then why not bring in something like a Ripstick 88? Just ultimate quickness.
Yeah, and I think that we're both kind of in agreement that when we hear something like this, like all mountain, Type 2, Northeast, we're kind of starting mid-80s. Yeah. And you can kind of go a little bit narrower or a little bit wider, depending on your follow-up questions there, Jeff. So, 85 I think is a good place to start. And if you're Type 2, again, you can kind of knock out the top tier. You know, you can take out really heavy skis with multiple sheets of metal. Even if we're working up to 88, you can take out, Kendo and Enforcer and Brahma 88, stuff like that. Mid 80s, maybe you could take out like Montero AR, and now we're dealing with, like we were saying, Kanjo, M-Pro 85, stuff like that. That's just a little bit easier to maneuver at more variable speeds.
Another question from this same skier here, how about, this is P. Gladding, if anybody is following along, how about 6'5", 305 pounds, Type 3, heavy, aggressive, fast skier looking for stability at speed, on-trail groomers, no bumps or trees?
So let's bring that top end back in, right? Yeah. Let's bring that Brahma back in.
Right.
And that's kind of where you're, like...
Brahma, Enforcer, and like the only reason I wouldn't go narrower there is how big you are as a skier.
Yeah.
Because like that starts to get a little twitchy when you put a skier that size onto, like, because I'm sure people are wondering, like, why not like a race tiger?
Right.
And like, well, it's like, sure, that would work, but then like it's more one-dimensional, and it could be a bit tricky. He's old school, likes a longer ski, skied 250 and 225 back in the day. Brahma 88.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is if you go to those more front side oriented skis, and we just did a wide front side, like those don't really go that long. So if you like longer skis, then that's going to be kind of a that's going to be an inhibiting factor there.
I skipped over one because there were 3 right from that guy. Jason asks, would you ever do a beginner women's and men's ski review? Hard to tell what would be a good starter ski, but still be able to last a couple years of progression. Yeah, I'd love to. That's something that I did like a how to choose a ski package video a couple of years ago. That might have actually been as recent as last year.
Yeah, and we did like package ski reviews, basically, like ski test videos, I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was last year. So we talked about a lot of those things in those videos. We'll very likely do another one. This is going to sound like a little bit of a cop-out, but we're in a really good period for ski manufacturing and skis in general, where like basically everything that's offered in theory is going to be a good starter ski that will allow for a couple years of progression. There are very few skis that I feel like wouldn't fall under that, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
it's kind of just interesting.
No, I agree, and I think that like once you kind of settle on, if you're shopping for new, if you settle on a price point, a lot of those skis are going to be very similar. So if your width is the same, and your price is about the same, you're going to get pretty much the same stuff. I feel like we've done more pointing out this year of like you were saying with the manufacturers, they're all doing a great job of kind of building things for a lot of different skiers. And we've been kind of trying to highlight where an intermediate ski is of high quality. That doesn't really apply to this specific question, but it is something that I've been taking note of lately, at least, that there are just a lot of really high quality intermediate level skis out there that aren't too demanding and will help last through those couple of years. Head Shape V8, V10 are two of the ones that we key in on. Even the ones that you've mentioned before, like a Kanjo, is light enough to be able to use. Maybe it's a little bit wider or even more expensive, but still has a lot to offer, beginner and progressing skiers.
This next question is interesting, and I hope I know. I'm going to defer this one to you, Bob.
Great.
As boot expert. It's a really good question. Are you guys able to tell me the difference between the new Lang XT3 hybrid boots and the XT3 free boots?
I am not. I will say with confidence that I don't know the difference between those two boots. Are you looking it up on your internet there?
Yeah, I don't really either off the top of my head. We've actually, ironically, we've been testing Lang boots recently, but we're testing the new Shadow 130. From first glance, there's not a huge difference between them. I honestly would love to dig into that for you and get back to you. So if you want to send me an email, I might regret doing this, but my email is just jeff@skiessentials. So shoot me an email, and I am more than happy to go down that rabbit hole and find the difference. They do list different plastics, polyurethane light versus polyurethane, but polyurethane is polyurethane, so that could just be a difference in how they're wording it.
Is the hybrid the light?
No.
Oh. Curveball from Lang.
So yeah, I would just want to. I would want to dig into that a little bit more before I actually told you what I think. All right, moving on. I've got a choice: Fischer Ranger 102 or Stokli Stormrider 102. How do they compare when you ski them? I think you guys tried both. Definitely have tried both. Stormrider 102 feels a lot more precise, particularly out of the tail. Very strong finish to a turn. Like the tail of the Stormrider 102 is completely flat and squared off, where the Ranger 102 has considerably more rocker and it's a little bit more rounded. I'd actually be really interested to flex them back to back because I bet the flex pattern isn't drastically different between them.
I think the Stokli shovel is similar to that of the Ranger.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a different shape. You
Yeah.
know, the Ranger's more spatula, the Stokli's more pointed.
Yep. But I think the big difference there is out of the tail.
Yeah.
So Ranger just feels looser and more agile, quicker, particularly in trees and stuff like that. Sorry, I got distracted by another comment.
That's okay.
So that's really where I would focus there. On a groomer, you definitely get more overall performance out of the Stormrider, more vibration damping, more edge grip, just a stronger overall feel. I know you've had some limitations with Rangers for like turn initiation from the tip being a little softer. So something to consider there.
Yeah, no, I really like that Stokli in terms of just how quiet it is and how smooth it handles pretty much everything.
Yeah.
You know, haven't had the same experience on the Ranger.
We got a question here from Colleen. I'd love to buy 2 pairs of Nordic skis, 1 classic and 1 skate with poles.
Excellent.
Happy to help. I don't know that I would be the best person to help with that in the immediate right here because it would probably take a lot of our time. But absolutely happy to help. I would say give our customer service team a call. They're really, really good at helping with those things. You know, we do have like purpose built or packaged skate and classic packages on our website, so you could start there. I suppose I can't get past this comment without bringing up boots and poles. So ideally, if you're looking to go classic skiing and skate skiing, I would recommend 2 pairs of boots, a skate boot and a classic boot. So that's kind of tricky for me to get past there. You can, of course, get, they call them Combi boots, and that is an option as well. But there are limitations to a Combi boot. I guess if it's something that you're like, if you're just getting into it, then there's no reason why you couldn't do a Combi boot. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we could have the same conversation about like hybrid touring stuff. Like,
Totally.
in an ideal world, you're going to have 2 setups that are each specific to their own discipline. But that doesn't mean that people don't have one setup that does everything. Someone like myself who's just kind of learning how to skate, like, I'm cool with the Combi boot. You know, where I like to have a little bit more is in the poles. I've gotten spoiled kind of having nice skate poles.
Well, you're definitely going to need 2 pairs of poles. Yeah. I guess you could skate with classic poles. You definitely wouldn't want to do it the other way around. That would be super annoying. But the perfect scenario here is to get, like, I would encourage you to get an inexpensive, affordable classic and skate, just complete setups, because you're going to have a better time that way. Dusty says he emailed Candide Skis about the AK-121 about mount points for the AK-121, and they said the regular mount point is minus 6.5. Candide skis the AK-121 in 184 and mounts his at minus 5, and then he commented as well, looks like their mount point measurements are different than yours. That's an interesting one, because I would say that it's hard to argue with Candide skis,
right? Because
they make the skis. I would also say it's hard to argue with the tape measure that I used to measure those things.
Right.
I don't recall, I think the regular mount point was like minus 7, do you remember? Minus 7.75?
No, I don't remember. I know we talked about this a lot, but
The other thing that I would mention there is there's certainly potential that Candide doesn't mount them on either of those lines and does his complete own thing.
right.
So even though there's a Candide line on that ski that I believe was minus 3.75, maybe Candide himself as a person has decided to split the difference between those things.
Right. Hard to tell.
Definitely hard to tell. But I can double check my measurements. I'm pretty good at those things. So I hope I didn't.
I watched you do it. I know, like, I saw the tape measure. I saw the pen and the paper.
Yeah.
I'll vouch.
All right. Thank you. All right. So moving on here. I'm skiing a Deacon 74 and a Dynastar M-Free 100, which I assume is a 99, with the Solomon X Pro 120 with a booster strap. Should I have a second softer pair for my M-Free? I don't think so.
A softer boot? No,
that's
no.
No, so I ski a 130 flex boot with everything.
Yeah.
So for me, it's certainly less about matching boot to ski and more about matching boot to yourself.
Right.
Like I was kind of blown away probably 10 years ago when I started skiing park in a 4-buckle 130 boot, because I always thought that was something that you couldn't do.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, this is great. This is way better. And like, then I have better performance around the rest of the mountain. So I would say no. That boot should work really well for both of those skis. I'd suppose it would be easier for me to say you should get a stiffer boot for Deacon 74 than a softer boot.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because like then you could make an argument about like driving a race ski.
Right.
But I wouldn't overthink it. I would just stick with the X Pro 120. Bob, you have some experience in that boot.
Yeah, and I loved it and skied it with, I don't know, however many pairs of skis I skied, and
Right.
worked great. So yeah, like you said, it's more matched to the person than the ski.
Best carving twin that performs well in the park. This is fun because it brings us back to a conversation that we were having at the beginning of this video about the Nordic Unleashed 98.
Yep.
Like, I know it's wide, so that's like a funny answer, but Unleashed 98 is such a good carving ski, and then it performs well in the park. I have no issues skiing the Unleashed 98 in the park whatsoever. We just did that narrower twin tip comparison
Yep.
video, and I wanted to bring up the Oblivion 84 as a far narrower option that also accomplishes that. It is a really, really good carving twin tip that also performs well in the park.
And kind of like we talked about with that Solomon blank, like, don't let the number fool you. Like, even though that Oblivion is like 22 something in a turn radius, like, it's
Right.
still a really good carving ski. So
Easy to bend.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of just look at numbers and just maybe assume that a ski doesn't carve because it has a longer arc, and that's not always the case. So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with that Oblivion as well. And then it's tough to look past the Mirus Core as well. You know, that is a carving twin that performs in the park.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's the easy answer.
Yeah,
But
it's a fun answer.
It's so weird that it's hard to. But yeah, Mirus Core is you got to throw that in there
Yeah.
as well. It's a question from Matthew. If I ski a DIN setting of 7 or 8, is there any advantage to buying a higher max DIN binding like Strive 14 over Strive 11? Yes and no. Like, I have always been one to go probably higher with my binding DIN range than in theory I would need to. The big advantage that I kind of point to is just longevity and durability.
Yeah.
Typically the higher DIN bindings are built a little bit stronger. So that's where I would focus my answer.
Yeah, and you're right. I can't speak. I'm not entirely sure about 14 and 11, but 14 to 16, the heel piece is different. So like if you're in that range, like hypothetically, if this same question concerns 14 or 16, you'd be like, okay, the 16 has more of a legit heel piece, so yeah, maybe that's worth bumping up in the din, especially if you're still on the chart. So something like that. You're right. I can't speak to. I'm not 100% sure about these specifically, whether they're the same with a different spring or a different build altogether.
So, I think general answer is durability.
Yeah, if there's an upgrade in model, not just spring.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna fight you there a little bit because those springs. There's a difference in the spring too. Right. So a stronger spring, in theory, is gonna last longer than a lighter spring.
I don't think too many people are outliving their springs and their bindings.
Fine. Great question here from Tucker. Were the tan green opposite outfits planned?
I was dressed first, so this is on Jeff.
I put these clothes in my backpack this morning and went skiing, and I changed into them a couple hours ago. I have a Ski Essentials t-shirt on underneath if we want to, like...
Me too.
So no, they weren't planned, although I will say we spend a lot of time together, and sometimes things like this seem like they just happen. Hopefully it's not too visually distracting. Closest ski to the 102 FR, I assume we're talking Ranger 102 FR, that's currently available, and then he adds Rustler 10. So I would start by saying that it's hard for me not to say the Ranger 102. I know there are differences. I know you can't kind of customize the mount point as much because of the specific piece of metal. I know all those things, but again, like when we did like a really in-depth Ranger 102 review, we did talk about how they are actually the same side cut dimensions.
Yeah, they're very similar.
But they do feel a little different, and like the kind of freestyle influence is where a lot of that feeling is coming from. And I do think Rustler 10, the new version of Rustler 10, feels like it has a little bit of that kind of pseudo twin tip attitude to it. And
smooth.
Yep.
You know, I feel like that outgoing FR was smoother than the new Ranger. And I feel like that lines up with Rustler 10 more. I think that's a pretty good comparison because you're taking, like, now that the metal in the Rustler goes all the way up, it's a little bit
more
closer.
Consistent.
Yeah, and closer to the carbon nose.
I felt like consistency was always a big thing of that pink Ranger 102 FR.
Yeah, just a big difference in that shovel between the FR and the new Ranger.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think you're kind of onto it there, Nate. I think Rustler 10's a great one. I'm actually really excited to do a long Rustler 10 review this year. We did the 9 last season, and I have recently set my sights on getting a Rustler 10 for myself, and maybe playing around with mount point a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what will happen there, but I'd really want to ski that ski more and see what happens.
Yeah.
So, Ryan simply says more live streams, please. Maybe.
Nice to include, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They're time consuming. There's a lot of setup involved, and I'm certainly not opposed to doing more of them. This always feels like a good opportunity to do a live stream.
Yeah.
So, if you can think of other reasons and opportunities to do live streams, let us know, because I'm certainly not opposed to it. This is a question from Jared. oh, we just got an email about the Lang XT3 Tour, and boy, technology is incredible.
Nice.
Wild. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, anyways, moving on. I have a pair of M-Free 108s, but find them to be quite fatiguing. 220 grams per ski. Any recommendations for a similar Freeride / style replacement that is lighter but can still charge?
Always a trade-off, isn't there?
It's a tough one. What a classic scenario.
Yeah. I mean, you can go like, I would say something like an extreme in terms of build would be going to like that new Bacon 108. Like a similar overall kind of shape and playful profile as M-Free 108, but it's just a lot more flexible. So you are going to lose out on, you know, some of that energy that you get out of that M-Free 108, which is like one of my favorite parts about that ski.
Right.
But like something like that just pops to my mind as being kind of a foil or an opposite to that Dynastar. What else? Like a Bent 110 or something like that.
So Bent 110 is like, that was one that I was thinking about, and that is 1,865 grams in the 188.
Yeah.
So considerably lighter. I think like the big thing there is it's also a lot softer.
Yeah, it's really all about what you're willing to sacrifice on the other end, because it's not like you can make it just lighter and then keep the stability and the energy the same.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
always going to be some type of trade.
Right, and that ski is not like tremendously stiff, and some of the lighter skis are like weirdly stiffer.
So he says, same guy, 5'9", 155. So lighter, so can handle.
He's like a me.
More like bent style, I would say.
So yeah, at your weight, Bent 110 is a great one, and that's going to be like less fatiguing in every sense because it's lighter and a little bit softer, but the shape, like the profile, is very similar, so it's going to have a lot of similar characteristics. Core 111 I thought was an interesting one to throw in there. That's interesting to me because it's lighter, but it's stiffer and it has a longer effective edge. So I don't know that would be the solution. And then like a lot of skis in this range are gonna be close to that weight just because of how much material there is. So the last one that I'd throw into the mix there is the old Hustle 11.
Yep.
Because that ski is considerably lighter, and I think would work really well for a lighter skier such as yourself because it works really well for me. You got anything else to add, or should we move on?
Let's move on.
Okay. Can you recommend the Faction Mana 2 for a 16-year-old advanced skier who prefers to ride fast on and off piste? Yes.
Sure.
Yes. I confidently can recommend that skier, or that ski for a skier like that. Super fun, playful shape. You can take it anywhere. I would venture a guess that if the skier is looking at a Mono 2, he probably skis in the park a little bit. And then those skis are like pretty stiff. They're pretty
Right.
supportive.
Yep.
They're a strong ski. So if he's ripping around at high speeds, regardless of where you go, that ski that'll work pretty darn well. Candide 101 would work pretty well.
You
too.
like being able to work that into your your line of recommendations now, huh?
Might as well.
Yeah.
Although I still don't think our order has showed up. Question here from Edward. I'm looking for a ski that fits between Brahma 82 and the Freeride 104. I'm guessing we're talking Enforcer 104 free. Would you agree?
Yes.
Looking for a ski with less metal in the 90s range. So a couple skis come to mind for me right off the bat. Ranger 96, I really like.
Yeah.
I know you don't like it as much as me. The new Rustler 9, like I feel like you gotta put that one in there. you know, you already know that you like a Brahma, I'm guessing, because you included it, so you're probably not like getting rid of it. So you know, you trust and understand Blizzard construction and stuff like that. Yeah, those two really jump out to me as partial metal mid-90s skis.
Yeah, and that's quite his own. You know, we could
There's a lot.
list a few more. Rossignol Sender 94 pops to my mind. A little bit more directional like the Brahma, but still nice, floaty, and nimble. It's a good turner, good crud ski, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. What else?
You know, we talked about Serpo earlier. That one certainly kind of fits in there. Some metal,
Yeah.
mid-90s, great on trail,
Yeah.
pretty versatile.
I mean, it's like an interesting thing because like that could describe a mantra,
Sure.
but I don't necessarily know that that's what you're looking for, because if you're saying looking for a ski with less metal, I'm guessing that you want something to be a little bit more user-friendly.
Yeah.
So that's why my mind quickly went to Ranger 96 and Rustler 9, which are different. You know, Ranger's much more directional. So I would maybe start there, kind of think about what you'll be using this ski for, whether you want something with more tail rocker or something that has a more directional shape, and then let that kind of guide you to your decision. Unleash 98, another one.
Yeah, I just thought of that one too.
Hugo responded to Matthew Clinton here. I recommend a binding that puts your din in the middle of that range. So if the range of the Strav 11 is 3 to 11, the middle of that range is 7. That's always pretty darn sound advice.
Yeah.
I would say you can be towards the bottom of a din range. I never want to be near the top. And even towards the bottom, sometimes you can run into like weird release values, but that I haven't run into that as often in recent years as I had previously.
Right.
I think bindings have gotten better. Tucker, great question. Oh, I lost it. I'll get back to it. Are you guys the owners of Ski Essentials? How long have you had the store? We are not. Our owner is probably right over there. He could come join the. If you're watching, you can come sit in the third seat. But speaking to how long the store has been, when did Pinnacle open? 80?
It's been almost 40 years for like
Right.
business.
I wanted to say 86.
Yeah.
For Pinnacle. So this business, as you know, it started as a small company called Bedside Tuners in Stowe, Vermont, which was like a service-based tuning company. Then they opened a brick and mortar shop, Pinnacle Ski and Sports, that's gone through a few different locations and iterations. Ski Essentials started in the early 2000s?
Yeah. I think it was before
Later.
2010.
Yeah, it wasn't the early 2000s.
No.
It was the late 2000s or the early 2010s.
Yeah. And like more like eBay oriented at that point.
Yeah.
And then kind of evolved into where we're at now.
Yeah, so it's been around for a while. I've been here for, I think, almost 9 years. Either more than 8 years. I've been here for more than 8 years, and Bob, you precede me by what, 2 years?
2 years, I think, yeah. I think about it like when I first started here, I was dealing with like 2011 skis. Like 2011 and 2012 year skis.
This is a ZipFit question. What do you guys think of the ZipFit Gara liner? I regrettably do not have nearly as much ZipFit experience as I would like. We have been trying to change that.
Yeah, it's just, it's not a, it doesn't happen like that. It's one of those
there aren't
things
many
that,
of them, and they're expensive, so the
and like
feasibility of getting them is...
even within ZipFit, there's, you know, multiple different levels of liners. So it's, you know, there's a lot to go about here. Anything, in my opinion, that increases the customization of your boot, if you have a reasonable shell fit and flex match, is a huge benefit. And if you can, you know, like you said, they're not cheap. Like
Right.
if you're fine putting an extra whatever, $400 or $500 or however much they are into your boots, in order to get that custom fit, then I think that there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, my general opinion
Yeah.
of them is that they are fantastic.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, again, I agree with you 100%. Is anytime you can make any incremental improvements to your equipment.
And especially if you've had fit issues in the past, but like at the same time, modern boot technology and liner technology is really good.
Yep.
Like pretty much everything that comes in a mid to high level new Alpine boot right out of the box is some form of heat moldable, you know, some type of foam, cork, other type of, you know, heat moldable, conformable material that's gonna do a reasonably good job.
Yep.
I think ZipFit has longevity over those things. So, you know, you hear these stories of people putting 500, 600, 700 days on their ZipFit liners. And I think that that's kind of one of those testaments to, yeah, it's a little bit more of an investment, but man, if you want that thing feeling the same way on day one as day 500, then that could most certainly be worth it for you.
Yep. Are you ready to move on, or do you want to talk more about ZipFit liners?
No, I'm okay.
This is a question from Brian. I like to ride on-piste and off-piste. I do enjoy turns in general.
Nice.
Me too. Turns in general
Yeah.
are awesome. I want to get the Mirus Core. Good choice, or are there better choices? So that's a great question. If you want to get a Mirus Core, could there possibly be a better choice?
There's always better choices.
Well, do you understand what I'm saying? Is if you
Right.
have like found a product that you're interested in,
Yep.
and you have this like internal feeling that you want to buy that product,
Yep.
who am I to steer you away from buying that product?
No, I hear you.
I suppose that's my job.
I would say it is a good choice.
It is a good choice.
And there are likely better choices
I would agree
at the same time.
100%. Yeah.
But no, if you like both on and off trail skiing and enjoy turns in general, it is hard to make an argument against a Mirus Core as being an excellent choice.
Right. I think like the only kind of limitation that you'll run into with Mirus Core is in the off-piste scenarios, because it can do it.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be able to get down anything, but sometimes it can feel a little funky in off-piste scenarios. Just such a short turn radius.
And we'll kind of bring that up too in terms of it being like stable at speed in a carved turn. There is a limitation there as well. So if your turns in general involve a 40
Correct.
mile an hour high edge angle carve, it's not the best ski for that. So that's kind of,
Yeah.
you're just not going to get it out of like the metal in the middle plus the short turn radius. It's just not built for that thing. So if that is higher on your list of priorities versus kind of pretending like it's more of a slalom, like an all mountain slalom twin tip, then yeah, there's a limitation there.
Yep. We've got a question here from the BTG88. What do you think of the boutique manufacturers like Moment, Forefront, etc.? I have plenty of fondness for boutique ski manufacturers. When I moved to Mammoth in 2004, I bought the Liberty C-Note. Nobody knew what Liberty was. The C-Note was a wild, super wide ski.
Yeah.
For its time. It was 100 underfoot, hence
That's huge.
hence C-Note. So yeah, I love all the smaller manufacturers. The one thing that I feel like the skiing public doesn't get to fully understand is which of those companies are actually manufacturers.
Right.
So that's like something that I always come back to, and like I think that's something that people should look into on their own.
Mhm.
Is like, yeah, who and where are those ski, or who makes them? Where are they made? Is it their own internal factory? Are they contracting an existing factory that maybe it's the factory where the boutique brand is made is not actually a boutique factory, and they're using construction methods and techniques that were developed for major production.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I would kind of point to there. But yeah, I have no issues with manufacturers or companies like that, whatever. I'm pretty good friends with the guys that run Forefront these days. I went to college with a handful of them. Jason Leventhal's in theory right down the street.
Yeah, a few minutes up the road.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make a couple turns and go on an interstate, but yeah, I mean, I consider Jason a good friend. So yeah, I have zero issues with any of those brands.
And we were talking earlier about just like how hard it must be to run one of these smaller ski companies.
Yeah, we were talking about peak skis.
Yeah.
And like, I don't remember the exact comment thread that I was reading, but somebody was fascinated that they'd sold, and don't quote me here because I don't remember exactly what it was, but like 4,000 pairs. Then they started doing math and they were like, well, their revenue is not like, not huge. And like, yeah, it's not. So it can be really hard to run a successful ski company that doesn't make very many skis. I'm
proud of their bravery, and like
totally
really putting themselves out there for that.
Yeah, and I think like in a lot of situations, and maybe this has happened more historically than it's currently happening, but the boutique manufacturers are the ones that are like pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
Like Line.
Right.
Line was a boutique ski manufacturer. Armada was a boutique ski manufacturer. People do not consider those brands boutique ski manufacturers anymore, but like they helped steer the entire sport in the direction that it's gone in the last 20 years. So we owe so much thanks to small boutique ski manufacturers that think outside of the box, like Black Crows. How many years back do we have to go to say that Black Crows is a boutique ski manufacturer?
Yeah, and they just took off.
Right.
Just hit hit something good and took off.
Yeah. This is a good question from Tucker here. I feel like we should both answer this because your answer could be different than mine. Which would carve better on a Groomer, Blaze 106 or Revolt 104? Which would have better powder performance? Between those two skis, I'm always choosing Revolt 104 for either application. I do, for me at least, it carves better on a Groomer. I just think it's a little bit stronger, a little bit more trustworthy from like a carving perspective. And then I just really like that shape in powder performance, but I think like a lot of people could choose Blaze for powder over Revolt 104. I suppose part of it for me is if you're going to offer me a twin tip, I'm probably going to take the twin tip. But I certainly appreciate the Blaze 106 powder performance as well.
Yeah, I probably not shocking that I'm going the other way.
Not shocking at all.
And I personally would have more success carving a Blaze 106 on a Groomer than
I expected that would be your answer.
Powder performance, it's different.
That's it's not a yes or no.
Yeah, there's not a. This one floats better, although I might say the Blaze floats a bit better because it has a bigger shovel, probably longer rocker, and is lighter overall, and in a vacuum, something that's lighter is probably going to float better.
Sure.
Whereas that Revolt does have a little bit of heft to it, so it does have, the build of the Revolt lends more to creativity and playfulness, whereas that of the Blaze is more utilitarian. So like, the concept of Blaze is to be in softer snow and to kind of stay on top more, whereas Revolt is meant to incorporate itself into it.
I was going to use that term porpoise.
Yeah.
It's going to be, it skis more up and down, where the Revolt is very kind of surfy.
But I like the Revolt. I would choose a Blaze for my style.
Yep. Another good question here. Would be nice to hear your comparison between Head Core 99/105 to Elan Ripstick 96/106 Black Edition. So I'll start by saying that for me, the biggest differences between those skis is the amount of vibration damping. I find that Ripsticks are quieter and smoother. Ripsticks, they've got to be a little bit softer flexing too. So for some of that quietness, I think for me, is coming from the ski's ability to like absorb things, not just from like the construction of the ski, but also from like its ability to like the ski is not going to just like hit something and deflect. It'll bend a little bit to go over things. So I certainly find the Ripstick smoother. I think Core 99 has to be like the most powerful
of
those four.
Yep.
I would say, and more precise. You get so much precision and responsiveness out of Core skis. Ripstick Black Editions are precise, responsive skis, but since we're talking about differences, those are the differences that I would point to.
And there is a bigger difference between Core 99 and 105 in terms of profile versus Ripstick's 96 and 106. Those are kind of more similar, whereas we see a jump from Core 99 to Core 105 in terms of taper and rocker. So yeah, you are getting that more precise activity out of the 99. For me, I found I really like that 106 Black Edition a whole lot. What you kind of perceive as the tip's ability to adjust, I kind of see that as deflecting. So for my size, you know, like I've definitely stuffed that tip of that 106 Black Edition into, you know, kind of less than ideal snow conditions, and not that often. So that's been my one kind of negative on that, whereas the 105 is just going to go right through it. It is stiffer from tip to tail. So there is a difference in how these things flex, especially in the shovel, and then a little bit smoother and rounder in the Core 105, whereas that Ripstick is, you know, I think that we've all seen it, that the very tip is pretty flat, so it's a little bit more spatula shaped than the Core, which is slightly rounder. And I think that that lends to the performance as well.
Sorry, I skipped ahead so I could research this next question a little bit, because it's a rare answer. Greetings from Germany. Oh, I scrolled too far. We'll go back to it. Greetings from Germany. Any opinion about the new Solomon Addict? I think about the Rossignol Forza 60 or the Addict. I have not skied an Addict. And that is that's the rare answer that I was referring to. It is very rare that I can pinpoint a ski that I have not skied, and I don't believe there are many Solomon Addicts in North America, period.
Am I correct in assuming that it's a mid-70s frontside
I
ski?
believe it is even sub 70.
Okay.
So, Oliver, I hate to have to skip your your question, but I don't know.
I mean, we can talk about the Forza, which is like a really fun.
Forza 60 is great.
Forza 60 is great. Really fun frontside ski. You know, mid-70s, easy to turn.
High performance ceiling, but not too demanding. Yep. I had a lot of fun. I had a false perception of the Forza 60 just based on how much I liked the 70 and just looking at the ski that's one step down from it in the line. I think it's easy to look at those things and think like, well, that's going to be lesser ski for whatever reason. But I think the Forza 60 is awesome. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a comment from Nash Vegas. You guys put the best content out for ski reviews. Keep up the good work and hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Thank you so much. Thanksgiving was pretty fun. Good portion of it for me was spent filming Bob's family skiing. So that was fun. I got to tag along with Bob's family ski, which was great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And then I had a lovely Thanksgiving dinner with just my fiance in my house. That it was my first Thanksgiving in that house.
Oh, that's right.
So
all right.
Yeah, it was very exciting. just barely. December 1st was.
I was
when
gonna say it had to be about a year.
Yeah. Elaine, is it Elaine?
Alan?
That's why I'm asking you. Anyways, hi Alan or Elaine. I don't know. Hello from Finland. Hi. The good news is there's a lot of snow in the Alps already,
Nice.
with more on the way. That's awesome. Has anyone tried peak skis? Not yet, but that's not without trying. We have reached out to them a handful of times.
I mean, we have a long list. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like it's not on the list. It's on the list.
It's on the list, yeah, absolutely.
and
So yeah, I've yet to spend considerable time on them, but I would love to.
Yeah.
And then, do you guys like Elliot from Rickety Ski Reviews? What a great question. Yes, I'll start there. I've spoken to Elliot a handful of times, once on the phone, and he is a very friendly guy. I would say the first time I saw these videos, it was a bit weird.
Yep.
Because I never really thought there would be somebody making videos about my videos. But no, I think he's a very friendly guy and pretty interesting. And like, yeah, some of them are funny because it feels like we're being audited. And then I'm like, well, like, why isn't what I said enough? But no, I think it's interesting, and there's always room for more opinions in the ski industry.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that, Bob?
I do not.
Another comment here from Spencer. I think Spencer is one of the first people to leave comments. Waiting for the narrow front side comparison. Bob already
Whoa.
started picking skis.
You're in luck, Spencer.
But as of right now, what ski would you go with for a short turn radius, preferably under 75?
The one that I had my hands on that I really liked was the Atomic Redster X9S.
That's so funny. I literally was just typing that in. It's much narrower.
It's 68?
65.
65,
It
okay.
is like the narrowest ski that we'll have in that comparison. But I'm so glad that you started there, because that's one that I thought of quickly. It actually, interestingly, 15.2 meter turn radius at 175, and I would have guessed that it was shorter, and I think a lot of that comes from the edge-to-edge quickness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones,
That
to be
one,
honest.
and then like, so HRC from Blizzard got
That's
revamped.
narrower. Yeah.
So that used to be 76, now I think it's 68.
Yeah.
That one, and then Blizzard has another new one. They have the Thunderbird R13.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the R15 a lot, so 76. This one's a little bit narrower, more short turn radius. So there's a lot of really fun options for 70, 75 underfoot.
I'd say it depends how short of a turn you're looking for.
Right.
Like if we're looking at real like slalom radius, then you have like sort of a limit to how many skis you're shopping in. Because like I thought of Spitfire 74 too, but that's a 16.5 radius in the 175.
Yeah.
So it just depends on your version of short.
And I, even just had my hands on the Laser SC, the Stokli, and that thing is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great option.
Jeffrey Lynn, great content. Appreciate all the work on the channel and the written reviews.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we spend a lot of time on these things. There are a lot of days where I have my head in the computer with Premiere Pro dominating my life, and I think you could say the same about Bob with a word processor.
I use a computer. Yeah.
I didn't say typewriter.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's definitely, I would say, more computer work than it may let on.
Yeah.
And that's by design. It's supposed to look like it's fun and all happening on the mountain, not in the office.
Yeah, it really happens more in the office. Good question here from John about renowned skis. That's another one. Like, I still haven't skied any renowned skis, which is like laughably embarrassing because they're so
They're in
close.
Burlington.
Yeah. So like that's another one that's on the list. It's just it's hard. I know we always point to that, but there's like 140 days left in the ski
Right.
season. We got to take it full advantage of those days, and it's not enough days.
Right, and then if you want to ski 300 days, then the written component and the computer component that we just talked about, then that's not getting done. So it's
Right, and then there wouldn't be anything for people to watch or read.
right.
Yeah, so it's tough. I think like as a general thought is if we continue to grow, then our team will continue to grow, and we can do more and more and more of
Yeah.
those things. Speed round. Can we get a what's in the quiver for the season?
Mine's not as interesting as Jeff's.
You got to do boots too.
Yeah. All right. Skis really quick that are current. Head Core 93, Stokli Montero AR. That's pretty much my only two that I'm going to legitimately be skiing on that I own this year.
Fair enough.
Moving to boots. Lang Shadow 130 low volume. Lang RS 130 mid volume. Solomon S Pro BOA 120. K2 Recon 130 BOA.
You realize this is too many boots.
Kesley K130P. Do I have another boot?
Probably.
Oh no. I probably have some other boots, but that's it for current stuff right now.
And then I recently, not recently, but I did a quiver video for myself kind of going into this season. That hasn't changed at all, except I think you can say that I added a Candide 101. So very excited about that. And then I'm going on a little bit of a boot journey this year as well. So I've got a Speed Machine 130 that is nearing the end of its life that will get replaced by something that we won't talk about. And then I've got a Head Raptor 130 World Cup.
That thing looks awesome.
Looks like it's going to break my tib fib. No, I'm excited.
Not that kind of
I'm
awesome.
excited about that. I've got a Lang Shadow 130 that we've begun testing. I have to do some pretty serious boot surgery before I ski again. I suppose I don't have to, but I want to. That boot has a lot of customization, and I'm really looking to take advantage of that. And then I've got a Nordica Unlimited 130, the new touring boot that replaced the Strider. I skied in a Strider for a long time. And then I have, in theory, I've got a Mindbender 130 BOA.
Don't you also
That
have?
hasn't shown up yet.
And oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm sorry.
The K2 that hasn't shown up
Yeah.
yet. And I do still have a K2 Flex
Yeah.
boot, but I don't ski it that often. Got another question from Nate here. How did you guys end up doing your jobs? It's a tough question. I'm a level 3 skier and apprentice boot fitter, currently attending university. I don't know what to do after. Obviously something to do with skiing has crossed my mind. I started skiing when I was 2. I ski raced when I was young. I was a Nordic ski racer. I kind of went to UVM thinking about Nordic ski racing. I went to business school. I got really into park skiing. I worked in ski shops. And sometime, sounds like a similar point in your life, sometime when I was at school, honestly it may have even been before I went to college, probably when I had already made the decision to go to business school. I knew that I wanted to do something in the ski industry. I didn't know exactly what that would be. I did end up focusing on marketing in business school, so it was sort of a natural progression for me. And then, yeah, I mean, this job, certainly there was not a job advertised that was like, hey, we want you to run the Ski Essentials YouTube channel. It was more of a marketing position for a growing company. And then I would say that my biggest piece of advice in this scenario, and for anybody, this is not just exclusive to the ski industry, is create the job that you want. If you're passionate about something and you become an expert in a field, you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish for yourself, or what you can create for yourself as a position.
And like, if you want to go the other way, like, stick with boot fitting. You
Sure.
know, like that's
It's a good career.
I mean, when I started skiing later than you, I was probably 10.
Nonsense.
And and you know, we both have, you know, competitive backgrounds and both have coaching backgrounds. I would say, like, before we got into
the coaching.
Yeah, like, you know, I coached for a lot longer than I competed.
I don't know if I can stay the same. Getting there.
You're getting there. But I remember going to, like, Breckenridge. We both did a year in Breckenridge too.
Yep.
And I remember working at, like, the shop there, and after about 6 months, I was like third from the top. Like, the turnover's so high
Right.
that if you want to be like a retail manager, like, it doesn't take that long.
That's a good point. I mean, I moved to Mammoth after my freshman year of college for a year, and same kind of thing.
Yeah.
I, like, very quickly they were like, hey, you're going to fit boots. And I was like,
All
okay.
right. Yeah.
So.
But, like, jobs like boot fitter, like, that job travels. Like,
Yep.
you can go anywhere and be a boot fitter. So, like, if that's something that you enjoy, like, I think that's a nice, like, starting point, because you get a really intimate base knowledge of kind of where the sport is, like, starts on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of boot fitters who technically they work for shops, but they themselves are in such high demand that like, you just have endless job security.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answers it. All right, thanks for the live support. Another comment from David here. It's your support that helped me make choices at the Pinnacle Inner Boot Works on Mountain Road. Thanks for the hard work and valuable knowledge. All honest information is hard to find. Thank you, David.
All right.
That means a lot. That Armada Bergs jacket you have for $69 plus discount is a ridiculous deal.
There are some good deals to be had.
Yeah.
A lot of the clothing, I remember, because we had our warehouse sale midsummer.
Bought a whole outfit.
I bought a whole outfit, and I could probably have gotten it
me.
cheaper now, but, like, kind of seeing some of the prices that we have. I think that Berg specifically was, like, part of a closeout we bought, so obviously we're able to discount it a little bit deeper, but
yeah.
Yeah, when we look at some of these prices, even for, like, you know, what we can get stuff for, it's, like, pretty impressive.
Yeah. I'm gonna skip ahead one and then go back.
Okay.
James was asking what the third chair is for. James, that third chair is for the Slack message that I sent to our entire company saying we have a third chair if anybody would like to be a special guest. I believe I pointed at our owner and encouraged him to come join the video. So I don't probably, our staff is probably very busy right now picking and shipping orders and talking to people on the phone. So I would venture a guess that not very many people that work for us are watching this video, but if anyone's watching this video, there's a chair right there, and you can come sit in it, and you could help us pick a winner for this order thing in 13 minutes. All right, going back to Pat here, level 3, 5'9", 190 on Firebird Comp 76. That's a great ski. As a frontside Carver East Coast ski in search of all mountain that could also be taken out west. Tried Sun's 2023 Rustler 9, 174, and it was a lot of fun. Suggestions? 2024 Rustler 9 would be my immediate suggestion. It is a little wider, but I think it still carries forward the beneficial characteristics. I just think I think they just improved those Rustlers across the board. I just saw a Slack message come through, and I was so excited that somebody was going to come join us, and it was somebody talking about skate skis.
Oh, too bad.
I like skate skis too. So yeah, Rustler 9, I mean, I think, like, if you haven't watched our comparison videos or if you haven't watched this one in particular, you could go way back. I think it was the first one that we did this year, and watch or read the mid 90s comparison, because there are some other skis that kind of fall into that Rustler 9 category. But I also I often come back to the concept that if you've tried something and you like it, don't overthink it, and just follow your instincts and your experiences, because if you liked it once, you're very likely going to like it again and again and again.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at something that's all mountain and you know you had fun on it, like there's no real need to go any further than that, you know. And we kind of always tell people, if you can narrow it down, even these big walls of 22 skis, if you can get it down to 3, like that's a great spot to be.
Yep. Looking to buy my first set of skis and wanted to save some money by purchasing a 2023 ski. I like to ski fast and usually on groomed trails, but occasionally in glades. What models do you like? There's some pretty darn good ones on our homepage right now. The one thing that I can't I can't answer for you is the length side of this, because I don't know how big you are, and you may run into some length issues, but like the Stance 96 that's highlighted on our homepage right now is a great deal. There's a bunch of things. Hold on,
well, even stuff like
to zoom out.
We had mentioned like Blaze 94 earlier. I think we have
Blaze 94 is on our homepage too.
Like 23 Blaze 94 is at a really good deal. What else do I remember from that? Good, like the vocal selection is good in that range.
Yep, there were some. I don't know that this is really going to answer the question, but there were some leftover Revolt 104s that I was surprised to see.
Yep.
Yeah, again, like length is where you're going to run into issues here, but definitely some good options for sure. What I was just doing is going to our website and filtering by 2023 and focusing on the all mountain category. Let's see, I scrolled too far again. My boots are first year Lang L10s.
I had those.
Turn of the century.
Yep.
The Atomic Hawks Prime was a great fit, but they did not have 110 or 120. I want something less stiff, but not sure where to start. These are always challenging.
Yeah.
It's really hard to. It's really hard to recommend boots online.
Yeah, I mean, you can. It's not dissimilar from just like flipping through the catalog and being like, all right, this is Atomic's low volume 110, 120, 130. This is Lang's 110, 120, 130. They all have the same thing. But they're not relevant to each other.
Right.
So you really have to put them on your feet. You know, even, I mean, if you put on, but they do not have 110 or 120. So my guess is that you tried on a 130.
Yeah. And if you tried on the 130 and it fit great, then you can shop online and look for a 110 or a 120, because those are going to fit correctly.
Yeah, but it's still not like. It's not the same thing.
I agree. It's not foolproof, or I don't think that's the best adjective.
It's not a done deal.
No, like, exactly. It's not a guarantee.
You can't just say that a 110 and a 130, even within the same boot line, is going to fit the same.
Yep. Can you make tutorials for advanced carving? Probably not.
No, not my wheelhouse.
Could we? Probably could. I don't necessarily know that I'm the best outlet for that.
Right.
The best source, sorry.
I mean, like, I think it would be fun, you know, like when we're out on a media day, we had some people, you know, some employees that are, you know, asking me for tips in like moguls and stuff like that. And I feel like that would be something fun to do, especially like even within our staff, is to be like, all right, let's go do a little mogul day, and we can film it and see if anyone can pick up a tip or two that's going to help them. But overall, that's, advanced carving would be lower on my expertise list than moguls.
Yeah, I suppose like I could do it, but a lot of it would be like me talking about things that I feel and
Right.
like progressions that I've personally made over the last 10, 20 years. Like for carving, like that's something that I'd focus on more. So I don't necessarily know that I would be the best person to like take you through the correct progression.
Yeah.
There are a lot of videos out there like that. I am a certified terrain park coach, so I could take you through the progression of like learning your first Cork 7.
Yep.
If you'd rather do that. But that's another one of those things where like it's tricky just from a time perspective. Like we don't have endless time and resources.
But like Deb Armstrong does, and
Yeah,
she makes
she does
phenomenal videos.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've skied with Deb Armstrong. Would love to do that again this season. Matt Maxwell asks a good question here. I'm hunting the leftover bargains and looking for something to complement my Wingman 82 Ti. Something more soft snow oriented, 90 to 95, Blaze 94, Ripstick 96, Declivities, Advanced Gear 5.9, 160. The Declivity 94, we still have in every length, I think.
92?
Sorry, what did I say?
Declivity 94, you said.
I meant to say Blaze 94.
Okay.
We have in every length, and it's like $374.
What do we have for Declivity 92 in length?
We don't have the middle ones.
Okay.
We've got a 164 and a 188.
Because I thought I saw a pile of those, and that's like,
It's hard to argue against that Blaze 94
yeah.
with the price on it right now, especially like as a complement to a better carving and narrower ski that you already own. Like if it really is soft snow focused, then yeah, Blaze 94 would be sweet. Moving on, we got a question here from Michael. I only ski out west, Colorado, Utah, Jackson Hole. I want an early season hardish snow groomer ski. Fischer RC1 82/86 or Montero AR. I already have a wider twin tip powder ski. I'll let you answer too, Bob, but I would go straight to that RC1 86 GT. Because that thing is so strong, it is so much fun to ski, but then like its shape actually like works in variable snow. So considering where you live and where you ski, it would accomplish the things that you're looking for, like the hard snow groomer ski, but then I bet you would be surprised at the other things you can do on it. Hard to argue against Montero AR too.
And I'm not going to do it. I will say that the 86 is a better choice than the 82.
Especially
if you're looking for a pretty aggressive ski.
And that's the impression that I get.
Yeah. The Montero is just so smooth and quiet. There's no topping that. The 86 is just, man, it feels like it's like about as solid as it gets. I really like that ski, but the smoothness and silence of the Montero are really, really unchallengeable.
Yep. What would your boot pick be? Oh, Bob, we got 3 minutes. Do you want to do, how many more questions do you want to do, and then we'll pick an order?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see what we get. I like boot.
We'll do one more. No, we'll do 2 more. What would your boot pick be for a wide touring ski 106 with a shift binding used for resort touring? So that, like, I don't know, we've had a few boot conversations. It's really hard to recommend boots. I will say, since you used the word your, that my boot pick is a Nordic Unlimited 130. That generally works. A boot like that, a kind of hybrid 130 flex touring boot, is really all I ski or use for any kind of touring. And I think you've got a Cochise?
Cochise 120. And just kind of the way that, like, this guy's kind of following the hybrid model. I have a wider touring ski with a hybrid binding So it makes sense to stay in that hybrid mode, I guess, unless you want to go, significantly lighter, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. It seems like this is staying in the hybrid zone, so, each boot manufacturer kind of makes their own thing. So what did you say your Unlimited was your pick?
Yep.
Cochise from Technica, Shift Pro from Solomon, so the list goes on and on. I would say that keeping it consistent makes the most sense at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so we're gonna pick at least one order here, and you are gonna receive your order 100% for free. This is very exciting.
I hope it's a good one.
Me
hope
too.
It's like some sweet new skis.
Oh God.
Bindings.
Why does the number have to be that big? This is gonna take forever to find. Okay.
Control F.
No, no. I appreciate what you're saying, but that doesn't work. All right. So. I swear I'm doing something. Oh, wait, no, I blew it. This is really challenging, Bob.
You want me to do some stuff in the meantime? I'm looking through here. My wife says hi.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what happened here. Okay, we're back in action here. We're gonna double check our numbers. Yep. Okay. So. You excited, Bob?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
I can tell. You're not physically at all. Oh, see, I see why this isn't working. All right, so we got to pick a new number because it's considering today as anything in the past 24 hours.
But you want it from like...
From midnight.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Do we all agree?
I would count that as today. I wouldn't count yesterday at 4:31 p.m.
That's how it was advertised. Yep. So we're gonna pick a new number here, Bob. Put in our new. Okay, this is much easier. All right. This is very exciting. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. Okay. Oh, this is very challenging from a technical perspective.
Is it more challenging or less than getting the camera to work?
Less.
Okay.
But if we really want to get technical or get specific, I've done multiple very challenging things today. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the random number generator gave us 54. Going 54 orders back, we're at order number 22366. So if order number 22366 is your order number, you just won some brand new Atomic Hawks Ultra 95 boots and Mindbender 90C skis and poles.
Oh, like an a la carte package.
Yeah.
That's great.
That shows all those things all on their own.
That's awesome.
All right. So that was 22366. We're gonna slack this to somebody before we lose it. I wonder if people stopped watching.
I
No.
think they wanted to see if
Plenty of people are still watching.
they want to see if they want free stuff.
All right. Do you want to do another one?
Another order
Yeah.
to give away for free?
Yeah.
Are we allowed to do that?
I don't know. Sure.
I'm gonna start placing orders.
Yeah, why not? All right. New number is 186. So let's see, 50.
Too bad they can't just give you round numbers.
Okay, we got it. It's 22134. No, it's like it couldn't be more difficult.
Yeah.
Order number 22134. You just received your Vocal Flare 7.2 skis. Another package.
Excellent.
It's like another, two people are gonna go skiing for free this season.
I mean, that's pretty nice. You know,
It's
especially
still gonna
'cause-
cost them money. It's not
Right.
gonna be free. I apologize for saying that immediately.
But like just having your hard goods needs taken care of, I think is a huge thing. And that's why like we do so much with packages, is it's so easy to get all this stuff all at once. And like you never have to go to the shop, like rental shop or lease or anything like that.
Yep. So yeah, we'll contact these people, but so the order numbers again are 22366 and 22134.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. So you've probably got 25 minutes, Bob, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go rapid fire for 25 minutes here. Are you
Okay.
ready?
I'm ready.
Going to
gotta find
Hokkaido
where
in,
we're at.
in January, what would you recommend?
Okay.
6 foot, 190 pounds, skiing mostly inbounds, a little bit of hike and ride, looking to mount with shifts, thanks in advance.
Ripstick 106.
I was going to say Hustle 11 again.
Okay.
Matt Stromecki and I were having that conversation recently. Ah, yes. Yes. All right, we got Bob, and you're going to be excited about this too. I just got authorization to do one more. This one's going to be the hugely expensive order.
I know. He's fishing for a good one.
Me? I'm the one fishing.
Yeah.
All right, so back to our random number generator here.
You hoping for like a 6 or a 5 or something?
This is order number. Oh, the number I have here is 37, so that's going to be recent.
I hope it's the bike for people buying bikes.
Oh, cool. Order number 22400. You just got your 2023 Nordic Unleashed 98 women's skis for free.
Sweet.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
definitely. So that was fun. Wish we could do that more often.
I mean, it's like Oprah. Just everyone's getting
Right.
free stuff up here.
You get free stuff. You get free stuff. So yeah, thanks and congratulations to everyone that won some free stuff. All right, back to rapid fire, and then we got to wrap this up in 22 minutes.
Okay.
What would be my best option to ski for cold mornings as an expert skier? Atomic G9, Blizzard Firebird WRC, Hero Master LT, Dynastar GS Master, Vocal GS Master.
Lots of fast options there.
I would say that any one of those skis would be a fantastic choice. I have always really liked the Firebirds. I think they've got a really nice feel to them. I've always really liked Race Tigers too. So I suppose for me, I would probably choose one of those just because I've always liked the way that they feel. But like those Hero Masters are sweet. We have a great time on those.
Those Hero Masters are probably up there for me.
Like Michaela Schifrin's like the best ski racer in history, and she skis on an Atomic.
Yeah.
So it's hard to go wrong really with any of those skis. Like this is a silly answer, but pick the brand that you like. If there's a brand among there that you like.
No, once we get to that level of like race, the
Right.
differences in distance get so minimal.
I agree, 100%. 6'2", 205 sounds quite like you.
Yeah.
Right? Type 3, I have just about killed my 189 Ranger 107 Ti. Great ski. Looking for a replacement. That combo of strength, lower swing weight, and hard, soft chunder versatility is hard to find. Ripstick 106 Black Edition.
It's just it's a different shovel. If you like that carbon
And
nose,
different tail too.
If you like the stiffness of that, you know, like my mind goes to the head core, 111 or 105, because you are getting that lower swing weight,
Yeah,
and
core
strength.
I don't know that the 105 feels the same as a
No,
Ranger 107
I
to
don't-
me, but the 111 does.
111 has potential there.
Yeah.
What
Like,
else?
I mean, Katana 108 is just too heavy.
Declivity 108.
Oh,
I
Declivity
think if we're
108
kind of in that
could
108
be
range.
sweet. Yeah. I don't know
those
if
are
it's
pretty
as
awesome.
light, like specifically from a swing weight perspective, but it's not.
It's more rocker than
Yeah.
that Ranger was.
Right, so it's gonna, if it's heavier, it's gonna counter the swing weight issue.
And that thing comes in a 190, which is really, really fun and smooth.
Yeah. Hopefully that gives you some things to consider. A couple people here just saying thanks for their answers. You're very welcome. What are your thoughts on how expensive skiing has become? I remember when I first started, day lift tickets for VT were $38. If I grew up these days, I may never have gotten into the sport. Yeah, it's been a weird progression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
if
guess
you,
that's all I can say. I mean, it depends because an Epic Pass is so cheap.
that's what the passes are.
So
that's what the passes are for. Is
It's
that?
just a different world.
But you have to go.
Right,
you know, like-
to make it worth it.
Right. That's kind of the whole point. Is the day ticket is a lot harder to come by from an affordability standpoint.
Yeah.
So that's the bad side. But if you are able to make a few life choices that allow you to be out skiing for, you know, I mean, basically you have to ski what, like 7 days for an Epic Pass to be like worth the day rate. So I know that that's still expensive, but if you are able to get out there 20, 25, 30 times a year, then the passes really start to kind of pay themselves off.
Yeah, I think
Um,
the sad thing is for the skiers that aren't able to do that. And then like
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends I remember just growing up who would, you know, they'd make it to the mountain 5 times a year.
Right.
And like that was really special. And yeah, I think it is kind of sad. We were talking about it recently. I don't remember what the scenario was, but I feel like we're gonna get a resurgence of small independent ski resorts. I don't think you were part of this conversation. Like Cochrane's is so
Yeah.
popular around here, and that's not like exorbitant. Oh boy, it's not too expensive.
Yeah, but you also can't sit on a chairlift there.
Yeah.
So
well,
yeah,
but
you
can
get
go
to ski,
skiing.
but you
Yeah.
know there's I think a lot of people have a minimum threshold, like a chairlift.
Yeah.
And like I love Cochrane's, and like what a wonderful ski atmosphere it is, but certainly not for everyone.
MMD here says, really like your stow videos, but it's time for something new. I live in Sweden, so I ski mostly in the European Alps. Ever thought about a visit and record some stuff here? Yes.
No, I live in Vermont.
I have thought about the visit.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's asking how our live stream went.
Great.
Todd, I'll answer you in a moment. Let's see, we're reaching the end here. Did you answer the question about peak skis? Yes, we did. We've been trying to get on them, just lots of things. Best deal on your website for skis is the Declivity 92 with Hurley, 14 bindings mounted for $545 and free delivery. Crazy deal. Yeah, I think the issue there is just the lengths.
Yeah.
Stopped by the store this past August and spoke with the owner for almost half an hour. He was a wonderful and talkative gentleman. I love the work that you guys do. Thank you so much. We'll pass that along to our owners. The whole family is wonderful. It is a family-owned business, and they're kind of all involved. So it is very exciting. Keep up the great work, yada, yada, yada. RC186 it is.
Nice.
Thanks, guys. Bought the Enforcer. Thanks to the advice, you're welcome. Have a tracer now. They stopped the line like you know, and I want something identical or better. My mind immediately goes to Ripsticks, because the shape is so similar.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that thing
And
go. I thought that
Mindbender
was
96C would be another one that I like.
I thought that was an interesting ski, that Tracer 98 108 line.
Yeah. How does M-Cross 88 do in really firm and more icy conditions? At that ski in really firm conditions, you probably just have to ski it more mid-footed.
Where the metal is. You gotta
exactly.
You gotta hook into the metal, and then you can really feel the power of that thing.
Yeah. Thoughts on K2 Mindbender 99 Ti versus the 106C or 96C? They're different animals.
Oh yeah.
They really are. We talked about that quite a bit. I think in the 100 millimeter comparison with the 99. Oh, I'm offline. Check my connection and try again.
Uh-oh.
Perhaps I'm back online now. Anyways, we're ending real soon. Anyways, that was maybe YouTube like telling us what we should do. Recommendation for a good ski for Eastern skier skiing on and off piste out west and using same skis for East powder days. So we're getting more comments in here. Same skis for East Coast powder days and some West Coast powder days.
So I'm thinking like 100.
Yeah, I was thinking QST 98.
Yeah, upper intermediate to advanced, looking to progress. QST 98, great choice. Yep.
Be a really fun ski. I feel like Ranger 102 could work too, especially for someone that size. What length are you running for your beer league skis? This is a question for me. When I'm feeling up to it, I ski that Disruption TI2 in a 182.
I got to pick that thing up today and put it in the front side rack and was very excited to talk about that thing.
Were you tired after?
It was very heavy and demanding.
You picked it up?
Carry it 20 feet down the warehouse.
But sometimes I use a 178 Montero AX, and to be honest, I tend to have better results on the Montero. Hey guys, I'm from Australia, so more icy conditions and ski mostly groomers and bumps. Any thought on Sender 90 Pro or M Pro 85? Sender 94.
Well, there's the Sender 90 Pro, which is like the kind of like the Menace 90.
Right. Sorry, that was confusing when I just said Sender 94. I would go M Pro. I think you're going to get more bite out of the tail of the M Pro, and that's going to be a little bit more reliable on firm conditions like that. Love the Ripstick 96 and 96 Black. Is it out of the question for a man to ski the 94 Women's Black Edition? Nope.
Nope.
Does it fall in between those two for flex? Not really. Say it's a Black Edition.
Yeah.
Skis more like a Black Edition.
Just a little narrower.
Just a little narrower. So that could be perceived as like a difference in the flex, I suppose. All right, two more, and then I'll let you go to your children's hockey game. Looking for a ski lighter than my Kenja, still good on hardpack and crud, maybe something a little wider, looking at Elan Ripstick Black Edition 94.
So popular.
But your recent review has me looking at the Blaze 94. So I would say that like Blaze 94 and Kenja, that's a better 2-ski quiver than Kenja and Ripstick 94 Black Edition. Because Ripstick 94 Black Edition is almost like Secret 96 more than like Blaze.
Yeah, the only reason is if they're replacing Kenja. I don't get the sense that they're keeping the Kenja. I'm looking for something lighter than the Kenja.
My apologies.
So if you're looking for like a Kenja minus,
If it's a Kenja replacement, then yes.
Yeah.
Ripstick 94 Black Edition would be great. And I say, again, if it's a Kenja replacement, I would say don't go Blaze 94.
right?
Would you agree?
Kenja complement
Yeah.
would be more in the Blaze
Yeah.
category.
What's the difference between the Stokli Montero AR? This is going to be the last comment, and the Stokli Stormrider. So the Montero AR is just a bit stiffer and stronger, heavier too.
Yeah.
So that Stormrider 88 is lighter, feels a little bit more like agile, but there is a difference in there, just overall stability and vibration damping and stuff like that.
And the Montero just hooks right in.
Yeah.
You know, like the Stormrider, more rocker in the shovel, so it kind of takes a little bit longer to get into the meat of the ski.
Yep.
Whereas the Montero, you're involved in the carve from the very beginning through the very end.
Yep. So, I think we'll end there. That's been just over 2 hours. Thanks everyone for joining. These are always really interesting and fun. It's like way different than what we normally do.
It's just interesting to see what's like on people's minds.
Yeah.
You know, like we see it through comments and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but kind of the instantaneous stuff is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks again for joining. I don't think we missed any comments, so I'll reply to the one guy about the Lang boots. And then yeah, from here, if there's any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our customer service team. I slacked those 3 order numbers to our owner, so not exactly sure what will happen there, but those people will be contacted and refunded. So hope you guys all have a fantastic ski season. Don't hesitate to reach out through email or comments or just pick up the phone, old-fashioned style.
Yeah.
It's hard to get you and I on the phone, but
No, but customer service does a fantastic job. And
They sure do.
We're all on the same page here.
yeah. So yeah, have fun out there on the slopes, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.